What's going on, everyone? This is Brian Turner here with another episode of the No Stress Midwest podcast. We're on episode 7 today. We're lucky enough to be joined by Parker Maher. Parker and I met through actually another podcast guest, Darren, and he told me that Parker was doing some training around here with Sporting, Blue Valley, and we'll kind of get into that. And he said, Parker's just a good dude to know, and here we are. So Parker, thanks for joining, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
I gotta correct you though, bro. It's Parker Maher.
Oh my gosh, Mar, my bad,
Oh,
dude.
you're good. We're still, we're still getting to know each other. So
Dang,
it happens all the time.
I'm sorry, man. I feel like a bad guy now, bad
No.
person.
We're getting there. We're getting there, you and I. So all good.
Yeah. So Parker, man, we met up the other day actually for drinks. It was Parker, Darren, and our other friend Kyle, and we were getting to know each other a little bit. Yeah, you see Aria creeping creeping in the background. Um, but yeah, so Parker, man, I really was fascinated about your story because I think a lot of people can relate to it, especially being here in the Midwest in like your youth days, right? So you grew up in Joplin, Missouri. And for the people that aren't in Missouri or Kansas or in the close area, Joplin is in Missouri. It is not the is it capital of Missouri? Not the capital, but it's a small, I think, pretty big city though in Missouri. But soccer is not as big as it is in KC, and yet you ended up playing Division I soccer. So talk to me about your youth soccer days, man. How did that go? How was it like playing in Joplin? I'm sure there wasn't the turf fields that are littered around like they have here in OP. So talk to me, man. What was it like?
Oh, it's a good story because I got some really great youth coaches that just that they liked me a lot. So I got some good relationships with that. But I grew up in Arkansas actually till I was about 6, and I played baseball there. I probably would have stayed there long term. I probably would have been a baseball player. But I got right to T-ball, and then I stopped right before pitching machine, so never quite made it. But moved to Joplin from my parents' work. Let's see. Then immediately got into sports. I've always been loving sports. I grew up asking for like all sorts of different balls for my birthday and holidays. So my sisters used to laugh at me because all I wanted was just some sort of ball, whether it was a baseball, football, soccer ball, basketball. I just always wanted,
Anything.
yeah, to kick them, to throw them, to break things with. So yeah. So got to Joplin when I was about 6, 7, second grade-ish. Was a kid that always played soccer on the playground. Was always pretty much like the best kid on the field all the time. Just because Joplin didn't provide a whole lot of soccer players. Just like you said, it was like, you can call it a cow town, I guess. Not really, but I don't know. I played on like multi-gender, I guess, or girls and boys team. I played on it. I don't even remember what we were called. I don't remember what that team was called for a couple of years. I guess my mom or my parents thought I was better than that and said, okay, we need to get a little competitive. Went to a team called Gladiators. We were the rec team. We were the Dominators.
Well, I mean, with the team named Gladiators, you know that that's a whole nother level right there.
Oh yeah. Loved it, man. So I don't know. I guess I just enjoyed the game and started. I think my parents more so saw that I was maybe a little bit above the level. So they started getting me into more traveling wise. So I think I went from Gladiators to JSC, which was Joplin Soccer Club.
I think everyone has played in their youth days for insert whatever county, city, whatever SC at the end of it, or YSC, Youth Soccer Club.
Yep. So that was like some very minor traveling. Like we traveled a couple hours maybe down to Arkansas. We did some local tournaments in Joplin. Again, kind of like was the better player on the team all the time at that age. From JSC, I played for a team named Joplin Roadrunners, baby. If they ever listen to this or watch this, that's the coach that I have a great relationship with still, and they're family friends.
Okay.
I played up 2 years because they were actually that team was my brother's age, which are 2 years older than me. My brother didn't really play soccer much, but he didn't play on any teams. But all of his friends were on that team, and I played
Right.
on that team up a couple of years. So I think that actually long term developed me to be helped to get me where I am.
For sure.
So played for Joplin Joplin Roadrunners through from like what is that? Maybe like fourth, fifth grade, sixth grade, pretty young, seventh grade I think, and then once I got to seventh grade, my mom was okay. They really thought I needed to progress, find something more competitive, and that's
Right.
when we started looking around to travel. Where we looked at Springfield, which is Springfield Soccer Club, which is about an hour drive. I also went to Tulsa, which is TSC, Tulsa Soccer Club, and they were pretty good, actually, a pretty well-known team in the region, at least. They were, state champs and stuff like that.
And how far was Tulsa from Joplin?
Tulsa was farther, man. I think that was a blessing in disguise. I didn't make that team. I tried out for that team. I didn't make it.
Okay.
That was about 2 hours from Joplin, so that would have been a 4-hour round trip, a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Which is
a lot.
Brutal especially for my mom at that point. She's doing all the driving,
Yep.
So Springfield worked out better. After I didn't make TSC, I was like, oh, I guess I'll go to Springfield. Turned out to be, that was a real blessing in disguise. Went to SSC, Springfield Soccer Club, which is now Sporting Springfield. They affiliated with Sporting. Eric Sorley's still the Sporting Springfield manager down there. Still got a good relationship with him. So yeah, got to Springfield. Took off from there, I guess. I don't know if at that point I was still young in 7th, 8th grade. I was still developing.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a competitive group. I was more balanced. There were a lot of players that were probably going to go on. Quite a few of us went on to play Division 1. No, I was the only Division 1 player, but Division 2, Division 3, a lot of them
college players, regardless.
Yep. So that was good to get into that kind of atmosphere.
So, all right. So that brings us to like your 8th grade. Now, in Joplin, what high school did you go to?
So there's one high school in Joplin. It's Joplin High School, and I don't know what the stat on it is anymore. But at one point, I know Joplin was one of the biggest high schools in the state because there was only one high school for the city.
So everybody went to that.
There's some other smaller town cities around, but Joplin was the main big city down in it's in the southwest corner down there.
Okay. And out of your varsity team, we won't say varsity, let's say out of the entire soccer program, what was the soccer competition like? Could how many kids played club, or was it easier to say how many kids didn't play club?
I would say there were 3 of us that played competitively. The rest of us didn't play club. My coach Ed Miller, he's still down there. I think he's at a different school now nearby, but he grew up in St. Louis, so he grew up with a competitive bone in him and a big soccer player. But he would always push. He would, he'd push the boys to say, hey, you guys got to find clubs around the area. They would talk about me going to Springfield and stuff, and obviously that's not always feasible for everybody, the pay to pay thing, but or just find competitive stuff outside of high school. You play your high school season. Okay, you need to play in the summer. Okay, you need to play in the spring. And the coach would always push that. It's like, hey, we got to, especially for the players that needed to progress to develop, get better. Yeah.
So, all right. So you were there for 4 years. During that time, you continued club through Springfield Soccer Club?
Yeah. So let's see. It was high school season was in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember how many games, not too many, really, pretty short season, high school. But then after high school, I remember tryouts were always, or new players that they were bringing on for Springfield would always start, or I think like late October, November, would have tryouts. And then they, give out the who made it, who didn't. So players would have their high school season, they would go try out for their club teams. And I think club would be in spring, right? I guess that's how it was.
Yep.
So then club season would start early spring. So I was playing all year round,
Yeah.
That's the way it was. And then state cup, you'd finish your club season or whatever league you were in.
Yeah.
We were in the Midwest Regional League, which at that time was, I can't remember which division that was. There was maybe one above us or one below us. But yeah, we were playing teams from Madison, Wisconsin, Indiana, kind of just some teams all around the region.
Yeah.
But I do remember there were some leagues that were above ours, like we weren't the top tier.
Right.
But still pretty highly competitive, traveling all over the states, Midwest specifically. Yeah.
And I'm going to get into a question that I know I said I was going to kind of save, but it's a generic question as far as one of the ones that our guests have asked. But what do you think helped you the most in playing in college? Was it high school or was it club? And then of that answer, why that over the other?
Well, it's like kind of both, actually. I got a reason for both. So I think high school specifically developed me physically, as in,
Yep.
because I was a freshman and I was playing with seniors. That's a pretty big age deal. 4 years,
14 to 18,
Right,
essentially.
right, and as a boy, you're
Yeah.
going to change a lot during those
Yep.
years. You're playing. I remember I was fortunate. I had two guys, Max Duncan and Blake Agus.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Agus played on the Springfield Soccer Club team that was 4 years older than me. That they were like ranked number 3 in the nation at one point. They were probably the best team. There was a couple guys that went D1 that were phenomenal players. So he was on my high school team. So we actually were good, and we were a really good high school team because we had a couple of us 3 guys that were really talented.
Really good, yeah.
And our competition around us wasn't the best.
Did not have those 3 guys.
No. So when you have 3 superstars, like literally D1 players on your team,
that changes.
You
That
really
changes
well.
any team.
Well. And then the other guy, Max Dungan, he went to Drake, which he was a couple years older than Darren.
Okay.
He didn't finish. Different story, but he was very good, and was looking. He had a lot of offers to go anywhere. So between us 3, Blake was a center back, I was a midfielder, and Max was like a forward. So we had
the middle of the field, right up the middle of the field.
We had all the lines.
That's how it goes, man. You get your best
so we had
there.
fun, man. We high school was fun, dude. We could just dominate.
Yeah.
Our little southwest corner down there. But let's see. What did you ask?
So what helped you the most with getting to college? Was it the high school or the club? So you talked to us about the high school side. So how did club kind of gear you towards that?
Yeah, so high school, physically, it literally introduced me to weights, I got to get stronger. I got to be able to body some kids, like some 18-year-olds,
Yeah.
And it introduced me in college is absolutely that. It's like, guys in college are going to be, you work out all the time, you work out, you run. That's maybe a flaw of college is it's so focused on being an athlete.
Physical, yeah.
Mentality.
Yep.
Club introduced me to more soccer, like competitive, getting better, understanding the game, technique wise, actually knowing the flow, where to pass, how to read the game was, I'd say,
tactically, technically, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wouldn't have had that without club, honestly. High school just wasn't, to be frank, I didn't have the team to help me develop,
Mm-hmm. And with club, how often did you train a week? Do you remember?
It was 2 to 3 times a week. 2 to 3 times a week, I would travel to Springfield. I would go to high school, get out of high school, get out of school between 3 and 4, right? And then leave right at 4. My mom would pick me up from high school. We'd drive an hour, go to practice, train for about an hour and a half, drive back that night. Once I got old enough, it was about 16, 17. I had a couple accidents because I was a young driver and fell asleep at the wheel one time. Different story, but had some traveling young age. It was kind of, I think my mom was a little bit hesitant of it, but I had a buddy that I went with that I carpooled. He was from Carthage. He was one of the guys I competed with all through high school. That we ended up carpooling, so that helped. We were on the same team. But yeah, so
the things you do for your dream, man. Like you wanted to play at a certain level. You knew that this was a segue driving an hour to training to play with this team, right? You knew that was going to help you get there. So it's the sacrifices or the investments that you make into your future right there. And luckily you're okay. And the accidents weren't too bad, but I've been there.
Yeah. So we were okay. So Joe and I, we would carpool. Joe was another really good player. He went to play in college. Can't remember where he went, but yeah. So we were competitive. But yeah, dude, I don't know if any more about my high school, but I actually only went to 3 years of high school because my coach. So I guess that can give you the segue into college.
Let's do that.
So so I went to 3 years of high school, and I took my senior year of high school all online during my junior year because my coach at Springfield Soccer Club was kind of giving me, hinting at the ideas like, hey, you're at the next level. I think you can come to school or come play at Missouri State. So I said, hell, let's do it. I want to take the next level. We evaluated some, but didn't evaluate the whole as much. I had a couple other schools, Evansville, and where else? SIUE. So all Midwest, all conference schools. Conference, Missouri Valley Conference.
Missouri Valley.
Yeah, had some interest from. I was looking at, but none of them. The other two, Evansville and SIUE, they didn't know that I was graduating 3 years, and they were probably just considering me later on going to be 4 years. Whereas Missouri State was giving me an option to just come early. I was like, heck, if I can go to school early, then maybe I can become a pro earlier, finish my college a little early. I was a young freshman in college, but
what are you, like 16, 17?
I was 7, let's see. Yeah, I was between 17 and 18 going into college. So a little bit younger. But also part of that reason was I was young on my team. So all my buddies when I was a junior, they were all seniors.
Mm-hmm.
I was a July 12, 1993. I'm 27 now, but so I would have had my senior year for club. I would have been for another year. Had any kind of like chemistry. It was just it was gonna be weird, and I really didn't know what I would have done. I guess I would have played at that point. I would have played down almost. Yeah. So either I played down or I go up to another level. So it's like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. I'll go challenge myself.
For sure. So you ended up at Missouri State. Now, I remember when we were chatting Friday, there was a connection, and you kind of talked about it with your Springfield coach and Missouri State. So how did that connection happen? And then talk to us about your time at Missouri State. What was that jump like? If you went from that freshman in high school playing against seniors, right? That's a huge one because that's from a boy to a young man. But then now when you're in college and you're going from 17 to friggin' 22, that's an adult boy going against a grown man right there. So how was that jump like for you?
Yeah. Well, my coach was, Mike Seabolt. He was pretty. He's always been a brutally honest person. So part of my evaluation was like, if I go there, am I going to play or am I just going to go sit on the bench?
Right.
Why would I not go to my enjoy my high school year,
your senior year of high school,
and just have fun. But then he was kind of coming at me like, do you want to do that, or do you really, like I said, do you really want to challenge yourself and maybe take those next steps? I went to Bolt was the one that recruited me from club to college. Mm-hmm. It worked out awesome that my club coach was also a D1 coach. Saw something in me. Had the talk. He didn't guarantee that I would play, but he kind of had a feeling that I would, just based on my work ethic, based on my skill level.
And he's seen you play for the last 3 years.
Right.
Most college coaches.
He saw how I developed, how I took things on. I like to think I'm a quick learner. I can, you gotta adapt. I went to college. I remember I trained. I was nervous as hell for my fitness test.
For sure.
In August, or right before preseason.
Yeah.
So I trained. I just was running my butt off throughout the summer of that year while I was finishing my high school degree online. So I was trained. I came in fit. I passed the fitness test good as a freshman. We got some funny stories about that whole freshman class that came in that year. We had all of us buddies that we roomed all together and stuff.
Right.
That freshman year we sucked, fitness wise. But yeah, dude, I'm trying to think. It was definitely playing I remember like some of the seniors, those guys were just freaking stop. Like one guy, Heath Malusian, which is a all conference, he was a big time all conference player. He's now a doctor, successful guy, really, really awesome guy, but he was huge. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to defend him or play against him. It was at that point, I was like, man, I have a lot to improve on,
Right. Right.
There's a gut check there saying, hey, there's a little bit of humility.
So while you were there, then you picked up a few awards. You got second team all conference one year. You picked up an all tournament team award as well. How did you feel that transition went after that freshman year? Did you continue to grow and pick the game up as quickly as you maybe did from that freshman year of high school to those 3 years? It just was another level, or
I think I grew even faster. I think I grew even
okay.
faster, especially freshman year. There's no other chance, there's no other option. It was like you got to get a lot better real quick,
Right.
or you're not going to see playing time, or you're going to get eaten up. Let's see. It was because freshman year was we got to three out of 4 years we won the regular season league.
Mm.
Missouri Valley League, which is great. 3 out of 4 years. And all those years we went to the conference tournament and we got to the finals and we lost in the finals. So we lost in the finals every year. We never won a conference tournament, which was the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. So that was just crushed, especially my senior year when I was crying. I was like, this is just, this was my chance to get in front of coaches, to get drafted,
Right.
to be seen. It sucked. Let's see. So yeah, I would say I had to but freshman year was definitely a confidence booster because I was able to play as a freshman. And I did have to realize, hey, I need to adapt. I need to get better. I need to get stronger. I need to get more fit. Everything kind of was eye-opening more so. I wouldn't say a rude awakening because I think I was somewhat skilled enough and prepared enough to play and to keep up, but not to the level that I was comfortable with saying, hey, I want to be the best.
Right. So all right. So then after your 4 years there at Missouri State, you ended up and you were with St. Louis FC, getting signed to them. So you just mentioned how you were a little bummed about not being able to play the NCAA tournament and obviously get in front of all those eyes of MLS, USL coaches. How did you end up with the St. Louis FC, and was that still your Missouri State coach that kind of has helped you get from the youth to college and then to the pro level?
Sort of, it's connections, right? Now
Yeah.
it's all about connections.
Yep.
That can be good and bad, I suppose. So Springfield, there were 4 main coaches. Eric Sorley's still there, the general manager. I guess that's his title, manager at Sporting Springfield. There was a guy named Jeremy Allenbaugh, which actually started Springfield Soccer Club. I think he was actually, don't hold me to that, but I think he was a main founder of Springfield Soccer Club.
Okay.
He was the general manager up until I think last year of St. Louis. So he actually coached my team when I was 12 and 13. And then I had Mike Siebel, which was the Missouri State coach. He coached us from I think it was 15, 16, 17. And then like whenever or maybe 15, 16. Then my last year we had a different coach because Bolt wanted to stay with some of the youth players to just continue to develop them. He already saw what our team, he saw us go. And then he said, okay, I want to start with more young guys. Kind of what you're doing, develop, just like that, develop the young guys, keep filtering those guys in. So yeah, what is it? Eric Allenbaugh, Siebel, and then there's another one, Corey, which I didn't work with him. But Allenbaugh coached me at 12, 13 years old. He had followed, we briefly stayed in touch, but he'd sort of been, he knew who I was, and he'd been following my career from club to college to
from age 12. He's been
from age
following
12. So he knew who I was. He saw again how I operate. He saw me grow from a little boy to a big boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he knew that after college, my 4 years of college, I connected with him. He said, hey, we got an opportunity for you. It's funny because he actually didn't say, "Hey, I got a contract for you. Hey, I'm gonna bring you on." He said, "We have an open tryout for you." So I didn't even I was like, man, this come on. Like I had to earn that spot. I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I think they honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I think they used that too as a marketing publicity thing because they said, "Hey, we brought Parker in off of an open trial."
Yep. So we can do it. So it's possible. It's all possible.
And I mean, that's reality, right?
Yep.
It's all marketing. It's publicity, dude. So,
Perception, man. And if you, and I mean, it's
business, man.
Yeah, it is. Can't be mad at that.
So yeah, I went to an open trial.
Man, look at that. The success story.
Dude, with kids that, I mean, I'm going to be honest, that literally don't know how to play soccer. They went to this professional open trial.
Of course.
So I was playing there with these guys and I was just like, what am I doing?
Is it reminding you of your Joplin high school days?
Yes, man. And I mean, and everyone's at different levels, right? So I'll be honest. But so yeah, I was on open trial. You know, they had I think it might have been like a couple hours. It might have even I don't think it was even a weekend.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Couple hours. You had a little break, and then they said, hey, they were writing down the best players, and then at the end, for the last 30 minutes, they had a best players scrimmage.
Yeah.
I was on one of those teams, and I was flying around and doing well. And they were good players at that point. Players. And again, also, I think the connection, obviously, with Alan Baugh, they probably had a feeling like, we know him. We can bring him on. But I went to that.
Well, and it always helps when you're at tryouts and the coaches know, they know who you are. When someone says, hey, keep an eye out on number 237, then now every time, it's like a seed's been planted and it's up to you or 237 to water that seed. But then if someone's like, hey, man, 237 blows, he's god awful. Now, as soon as 237 has one bad touch, geez, this guy can't even catch a goal, and
there's no mercy.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So you're an open trialist. You get signed to St. Louis FC from that. How did the season go for you? Was it the tryout in the beginning, preseason, so you were there for the full season, or was it in the middle during the summer signing window, or when was that?
I think, let's see, because we finished, that year was our senior year of college, and we finished, I think it was around November, late fall.
Yeah.
And then the open trial, I think, was almost it wasn't quite wintertime because it would have been hard, but I think pretty much close to that time because they were prepping for the season to start in January, February.
Yeah.
So that's when they had open trials.
Okay. And this was USL, right?
This was USL, and it was only USL. It was no.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
USL 2, USL 3. Just USL new.
Just USL.
Yep. New, brand new team. St. Louis, brand new team, brand new, pretty new to the league. I can't remember at that point how old USL was. It might have been only a couple years older, even though I don't think that was the first year. I don't quite know all the history of the USL.
Right.
But, yeah, so they did the trial in, let's see, late fall. They called me back, I think a couple weeks, maybe a couple days later. Jeremy called me back and said, hey, we want to sign you. I said, hell yeah, let's go.
Awesome. First professional contract, couple days after your senior year.
Yep, dude. I'll be honest, dude. I'll tell you my salary. It was $750 a month.
$750 a month.
$750 a month. They were paying for my housing.
Okay.
And they paid for food a couple times a week. We had lunch after practice and stuff. Good nutrition, all that sort. But
$750 a month. So they really
my first contract.
They really rolled out the red carpet on that one, man. Gee, but you know what? That's what it is, though. When you want to play, I mean, even the MLS contract for a while was 2015. The base salary in MLS was 60, or league minimum was $60,000. And I just remember like, man, as an engineer, I was making more than that. And there's some people that are like playing professional sports. And
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around how professional athletes weren't making like what you see on TV, but
Right. That's
this
what
is
I
the
mean.
reality of it.
Yeah. When people hear professional sport, athlete, whatever, they're thinking, big numbers.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of, again, another like a little bit, some humility there, but I was like, hey, playing soccer, chasing a dream. Obviously the dream, my ultimate dream, honestly, was I had huge ambitions. Like I want to play for the national team. That would
Yeah,
have been the number one thing. Next in line would have been MLS.
for sure.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, who I don't know, like who has a dream that isn't like a big one, right? Like you're not playing soccer just to play in the USL. I don't know anyone who's wants to stop there. It's
right.
the biggest thing, and then if that doesn't work, then this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so you were there for just a season,
Two.
2 seasons, two
Yeah.
seasons. So how was your time there? Did you I mean, I'm guessing you left pretty on good terms since you've known the GM for quite a while.
Left on good
So
terms. Yeah. So St. Louis was great, man. It was truly like it was really an awesome starting professional career for me, because I played first year. I played almost every minute of every game. So
mhm.
at that level, I came in as a newbie, a rookie. Got tons of playing time, tons of confidence. Was honestly like, again, I had great confidence. I coming off a pretty strong college career.
Yeah,
Just being a very good player on the team from college, and then coming in, I was just, my knowledge of the game had grown much. I was strong. I was healthy. I was one of the fittest guys on my college team. So I was like, not many people run more than Missouri State. Like I'm gonna be, that's a pro, or a plus that I got coming in. I was probably one of the strong, if not the most fit guy on my St. Louis team, which looks good in coach's eyes.
of course.
Um,
Well, the game is so much. I'm not gonna say it's so much easier, but if you're not in shape, you can't you can't play
it makes
soccer.
it a
Like
lot harder.
yeah, like you can't do it, man.
No.
Your mind's telling you to do stuff, and like meanwhile you're over here gasping for like your final breath.
Yeah.
So when you're in shape, that goes out the
You said, don't give
window.
me the ball. Don't.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
ready for it right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So started. Let's see. February. Um, we didn't have any preseason camp. The next year we had a preseason camp. We went down to where'd we go? Southwest somewhere. No, or like maybe it was Alabama. I
Arizona.
can't remember where we went, but we went to a little camp. It was fun. It was good for camaraderie. Second year. First year, no preseason camp. We got our preseason camp in St. Louis, on the turf fields, hot as balls. Um, but it was good, dude. It was good. We were all a new mesh of guys just coming
Yeah.
in, brand new team. There was no structure, nothing coming to it. We're literally the pioneers of St. Louis FC. Brand new coach. That coach was coming from, he didn't have professional experience, and I had a great relationship with him. He knows. So he was new to it too. He
Yeah.
said he was taking on a brand new challenge. He said it was a goal of his that he wanted to coach professionally. So he did it, and we didn't. It was we didn't know how to prepare. We didn't know what the level of that league was. Right?
Right.
Like literally,
Right.
like just didn't know. So
Right.
they were just bringing in, all the best players they could think of, and we had great players, all Division I players, all former professional players, like
Mhm.
just a good mix of different guys. But chemistry was different kind of niche, different kind of groups. Maybe we hadn't been together a lot to form a real tight bond. So yeah, it was definitely very, very much a trial year for the whole season
Right.
for the club and for the general manager and for everyone. I don't think the expectations weren't really. They said if we can make playoffs the first year, then that's a great thing.
Right.
But we didn't. I don't think we didn't. Let's see. That was 2016. We didn't make playoffs that year. Um, I don't think. Man, I can't remember. That's bad. I don't think we made playoffs either of those years I was there. We didn't even make it into the playoffs.
Well, and here's the thing, man.
Struggle.
That's a tough thing to do as a new club, as a franchise, to just come in and then make, make playoffs. And you were touching on it. When you don't have anything to compare to, you don't know what to expect. You have a manager that doesn't know how, not say what to prepare, but kind of how to prepare for that. You're kind of going into the season blind. And it's like, when you do all inter squad scrimmages and all that, like, man, we look really good playing against ourselves. Oh man, this is great. And then you go up against the first team, and then you're just like, oh my God, how are they doing all this stuff? So yeah, man, that's tough.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we weren't bad. We competed with everybody, and we were just as good, and we could have beat, I don't remember our record. I can't remember that, but
Right.
we were good. We were good.
You were in all the games.
We had guys that played in the MLS. We had guys that from all over. A couple different Jamaican guys that were really skilled.
Now was Musa there when you were there?
Yeah, Musa. So Musa and it's funny. Musa followed me through my whole career, or I followed Musa, whatever. My personal career. Musa's career was longer than mine, and he started at a younger age and is still going. But yeah, so it was funny because all the moves that Musa made, I was making, or he was making the moves that I was making. But yeah, so again, Musa's a great player. We had guys like that on the team, with a lot of experience and stuff. It's just I think the main thing is we didn't have a system. We didn't have. Are we going to play direct? Are we going to try to build out of the back? We didn't have an identity.
Yeah,
we were figuring that out on the go.
Yep.
And Sporting has an identity.
Oh yeah.
We're doing this.
Yep. At every level, every level, Sporting plays the same from first team to U12 Academy.
Yeah.
Every single one of, and you know what to expect when you play any level of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of different professional club experience, but I mean, I would bet that Barcelona, they're playing that system, live or die. It's no matter what.
Top down.
From all ages.
Yep.
So that I think was a main thing that I would be curious to know the talks that St. Louis is having now with their current. Jeremy's not there anymore, with their current GM and with their current coach and stuff.
Yeah, so, they're MLS. Yeah. They're MLS this season. Right, 2021.
It might be 21. It might be 22.
Or 22.
We talked about that Friday.
That's sure right. Yeah. No. I think it is 22 because we have Charlotte, Austin, and I feel like there's a third one that's this season. Charlotte, Austin, Sacramento.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sacramento.
Yep. Which is awesome.
So
that was one of the things also in the back of my mind when I went to St. Louis, because that had always been talk, hey, St. Louis, we're going to go to MLS.
Yep.
So I was like, if I could grind this out for a couple of years, and that maybe I could just move with the team.
Yep.
Turned out that was going to be a very long-term thing. I was like, I don't want to stay in the USL for whatever, for 6. Well, now it's what?
It'd be 7 years.
It would have been 5-7 years.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I got to make moves quicker. Okay, so that leads me to my decision to go to Sporting. So I could have continued. I had a conversation with Jeremy, and they offered me to stay. And they said, hey, you can keep playing. I think you'll like this new guy. We're bringing on the new coach. They were bringing on a new coach after my second year. And I had to make a hard decision because I have a great relationship with Jeremy and still do. But at the same time, I was like, man, I got to figure out how to make that jump.
Yep.
USL
to MLS. Yeah.
I mean, I had heard people behind the scenes were always talking, and you try to just put it behind you because you don't want to take it. But they were like, yeah, Parker will be a player that can play in the MLS. I was hearing those things. So I was like, how am I going to get there? What am I going to do? So yeah, I went to Sporting, where this is more connections, which is where Mike Jacobs, which was the technical director at the time. I think he's in Nashville now.
Okay. Technical director of St. Louis?
Technical director of Sporting.
Sporting, okay.
I was in communication with him because he coached at Evansville, which was one of the guys that looked at me to go to college. So he wanted to bring me to Evansville. Which now maybe if I went to Evansville, he would have,
Hey man, you might have been in the MLS by now.
Right?
Who knows?
So yeah, I sorted out a deal with him, got a contract with Swope Park. and had 2 really good years at Swope Park.
So,
I,
so within those 2 years, because you obviously played with a lot of people I was friends with Amico, and I mean all podcast guests, Amico, Musa, Darren, all of you guys were there. So I know you talked about sporting, and it was a good time for you in Swope. But what were some of the main contrasts that you saw between playing with St. Louis FC, which was a franchise or expansion, right? Versus Sporting, where it's definitely more, maybe do you call it a blue blood of an MLS, but definitely a club that has
a feeder team.
Yeah, definitely a club that has an identity and has a system. What were some of the main contrasts that you saw between the two clubs, as far as playing in there?
That definitely, definitely the system thing. The system. We had an identity, and they were pushing us. We are playing this style, no matter what. We're doing this. You're doing it every week. It becomes normal. Like, this is natural. This is what we're gonna do. It's almost, soccer doesn't have plays, but it's almost like there was more. There's a structure. It's like
there's triggers. There's cues that okay, you see this, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom,
like this
yep.
will set you up, and this is when you can play this ball. It's just stuff like that. Which St. Louis didn't have. So I'd say that would be the main thing, and I think that's. And when people are all on the same page, that's going to make a winning team versus a losing team, rather than a bunch of talented individuals, right? That normal thing you have to hear from all different sports. So that would definitely be a change. Also, I'd say, dude, the competition, the pressure was different for me, because St. Louis, I wouldn't say I was comfortable. I was, but I knew I was a strong player and I was going to be traveling. I was on the team. I was going to be playing big minutes every game. Which maybe I did get comfortable. But whereas at Sporting and being the first and second team, there was guys dropping down on top of me that were going to play. That was just something that I had to accept. I think, and I was competing with those guys. I think if there was justification, say, hey, Parker's going to do a lot better than this first team left back that's going to be dropped down, then I probably would have played over him. But that's just
it doesn't work that way.
That guy's going to come down. He's going to play.
It doesn't work that way. And
no.
And honestly, you've got pressure on both ends, right? Because being at that second team, you've got the U19s is the next academy below you. So they're looking to push people up and out and into the second team. And then you've got the pressures of the first team guys dropping down. So you're here in the middle, people pushing up, people coming down, and you've got to hold your own and stay strong with that. And I'm sure that mentally that probably weighs on you, because, man, you have a bad day of training and a kid has a good day. And just like that, he's up in the 18 and he's getting reps. So how did you get through that mentally for, during those 2 years?
Yeah, and I did my homework. I listened to quite a few of the guys you've had on. We could talk about mental for another hour. And they're so right. It's true. Everybody, all pros. I mean, I would argue to say there isn't a pro that hasn't been in that spot. That's been in that mental challenge. Dude, it's that, man. It's hard. It makes it so hard because of St. Louis. Again, my mental, I was confident as hell. I was, I'm going to play. I'm killing it. I'm doing well. I even made some mistakes, but I was like,
I'm okay with making those mistakes. They know it's
I make that mistake at Swope.
Yeah.
I had a guy, I was on the second team. So we had first team, second team during training. I was on the team that was defending the first team. I wasn't playing that next week. Someone else was getting those reps, and that messes with you. You're like, because then they're giving that guy a chance, and if he's a good player, he's going to take that opportunity and run with it, just like anyone would. So then you're fighting a guy that now you've given a chance to, that's doing well, and then you got to prove yourself based on an opinion that this coach has, like Moose was saying. It's opinions based on this opinion that this coach has of you making a mistake last game. So you're like, God, I just got to get over some big bumps here.
Well, and it eats at you because then you become, and I saw it at the last high school I coached at, when a player becomes afraid to make mistakes, they become like cut in half.
You're
Because mentally they're like, oh man, this is the right pass to make, but what if I mess up? Then I
yes.
get yanked.
You
Now
start
I'm not
you
going to
start
make that
doubting
pass.
yourself.
Yep.
You
Yep.
start doubting yourself when you know
Yep.
you're on your good day. You're fully capable.
Yep.
So that's a thing. Like, how do you take on that? You take on fear. People argue you go do the fear.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was hard. My first year at Swope, I enjoyed a lot more. I was a lot more confident. I had interest. I talked to Peter. I got called up for Open Cup on the first team. I was thinking, this is good. And to be honest, like Sesanovic was getting a little bit older. He's a left back. I was like, hey, there could be an opportunity here to come in and play behind Seth and then take his spot eventually. And I was, and there's also Tyler Pasher and I competed, and Pasher was good as hell.
Yeah.
So him and I both probably had the same mentality. We got to take this first team left back spot. But yeah, my first year, I was getting some views, getting some looks with the first team, especially with the Open Cup call up. I was like, this is exciting. This is real good. Second year, or after that year, I didn't get a first team contract, but they did sign me again. My second year renewed me. And that's whenever, I think that's when, so that Pasher was then playing a lot more. But I think my first year, Pasher was on the first team contract, but wasn't playing as much. But he didn't get dropped down as much either. Whereas my second year, Pasher started getting dropped down a lot more on top of me. So I was competing with Pasher a lot, which was healthy competition, but made it very mentally challenging because he was playing more than me. I think I played half the games that year.
And who was opposite of you guys? Was that Colton still?
Storm, which is on a first team contract. Jalen Lindsay.
Yeah.
Amico. So I mean, Amico was in a hell of a spot. Again, that mental spot you're in. It's just, but that's the game.
Hey, it is. It is. And if it was for everyone would do it, right? But it isn't. And you, as well as all the other select few players that play pro, mentally you have to come to grips with that. And
Absolutely.
if it's one thing that every player has ever said to me is that it's a business. I don't know one person that hasn't said that. It's a business. And once you wrap your head around that, you're like, okay, hey, I not saying that you emotionally remove yourself from it, but you kind of can understand like, hey, it's just a business. Maybe he does care. The coach does like me, but I don't fit into it. That's just how it goes. And, you move on. Do you cry about it, or do you just friggin' hop back on the horse and say, let's find the next place to go?
No, your attitude, man. Your attitude is gonna do you wonders. If Burmese or Nagamura, if those guys see you just not bringing your all because you're just like, yeah, what's the point? Then you're just gonna put a sour taste in their mouth for any type of referrals that you're gonna get from another team where you could definitely be a better put in a better spot. So it's just, if there's anything I say, I would just as anyone would say, bring your best every day, no matter what. No matter what, because you don't know when you're going to get that next opportunity with a different team, with a different coach, maybe even a different position on that same team. It's just, it's definitely attitude to cope with that mental side.
And that's big. And for any youth players that are listening, ones that maybe don't make the varsity team, ones that don't make their top club team and are on the second team, I'm a coach. When I do that to someone and I see them pouting and moping around on the second team, then I'm like, all right, I made the right decision.
Absolutely.
Because why would I want someone that's going to cry about not getting their way? But then when that kid gets down on the second team and now they're pissed because they think they should be on the first team. And now anytime they play on the second team, they're like, I'm making it a personal vendetta to prove that I should be on the top team. And then they come out and start balling. Then now you have confidence. You've got that where now I'm like, see, now you're ready for it.
Yeah.
And then you bring that kid in when he's in great form and, you let him flourish.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and I love that because I've even had guys where they're with when I'm coaching some of these young kids and they're just like, and they don't make the good passes, they're goofing around or whatever, not taking it seriously. But then I see them do this moment, I'm like, and as a coach, I'm like, you can do that every time,
mhm.
come
It's
on,
there. It's
like have
there.
that drive.
Yep. 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 So, all right, man. So I know now you're done playing. You do real estate. You also do, and you just talked on it, do some coaching on the side. Talk to us about when you decided to hang the boots up. How did you know it was time? How did you know you wanted to do real estate? How did you know you wanted to continue coaching? What's life like not being a pro? You spend more time with the wife and dogs, and what's it like now?
Yeah. So my situation, came to the end with my second swap career. I talked with Naga. I knew that I wasn't going to get renewed. I was going to go. I had some. I was in communication with some other teams, but had to really make a tough decision because I brought on an agent that was going to help me during this transition because my connections were started. I didn't have
They
I
were
didn't have in other
you
states.
didn't have anybody.
No, no. I mean, if I would have had some other connections to take me somewhere else, then maybe I don't know the
Right.
story. But so I was like, man, I got to get an agent to figure out a new transition from these teams. I could have gone back to St. Louis. That one could have been a given, but I didn't know if I wasn't really didn't want to take that step back.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to get to MLS. I was like, how am I going to get to MLS?
Right.
Could have maybe gone to. I was in communication with Sacramento.
That's where Cam went, right? Cam Iwasa.
Yep, Iwasa went there. Blackwood went there too.
Okay.
And then I was also in communication with Hartford, which was a new team that year. Would have been a new team that year, which is I think this was their second year.
Okay.
So yeah, we were either going to go East Coast or West Coast. And Alyssa, my wife, she already put in her notice to quit her nursing job. She works she's a NICU nurse. So she was like, "Hey, I'm coming with you." I was like, "I know you are," but
Man,
at the
that's
same time,
awesome.
she was
That's a
she was
rider.
giving up a very good job. Where I mean, she would have been able to get another nursing job. Nurses are needed anywhere, but yeah, so it was a tough decision. So nothing was really coming to I didn't have nothing in writing with a good contract or anything. So I was like, man, I can't keep playing this game. And Alyssa had a time frame where she had to either really give her final notice. She had given pre-notice, but she had to say, hey, I'm not coming, or I'm going to come back.
Right.
So we were like, you're either going to give up this job and I don't have a contract yet, or so we were like, so that's when I kind of had to make the tough decision. I myself was like, I was being brutally honest. I was like, man, it's going to be hard as hell to get to the MLS. The money, USL money isn't MLS money.
Not there.
I mean, that's
No.
what it is.
No.
So I was fortunate to have some good connections here in Kansas City that I had made that offered me a first property management job. That I was like, hey, I like the real estate. I want to learn the real estate thing. I just got a general business degree out of college, but I just educate myself with all sorts of podcasts, the real estate stuff, and I know there's opportunity there to be successful, entrepreneurial type work that I want to do and have my own minutes or work my own schedule and stuff. So took this job a couple months after hanging up the boots. And Alyssa's family's here in Kansas City too, so really just making some more personal decisions with our families and stuff.
Right.
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason. So and things happen that we were here for a good reason. So
Yep.
Did property management for a year. Decided property management wasn't for me. I don't want to get into outside soccer talk here.
Yeah.
But then worked a year of that, and now I'm a real estate agent here in Kansas City. That's learning that whole thing. So learning the different aspects of real estate, which I love, and I'm on my own schedule, and I work with a great boss or a broker of mine that we got big things ahead of us. So yeah.
That's cool. And one of our other guests, Kempin John,
I heard that. Yeah.
he's doing real estate as well. And I know that he was saying I think his mom or his family is into it, so it's something that he does on the side while playing. So That's pretty cool.
Hey, dude, I'm a gamer, so I love games. Monopoly is a game that a lot of people say, I don't like it, it's too long. I love Monopoly.
Yeah,
So
that's your game. Parker,
soccer
you're
is
the
my
guy
game.
that
Like,
you're the guy that makes
I like to
everybody.
learn. I like to learn strategies and techniques and how to be good at these games. Life is a game, right?
It
Like,
is.
how do you get good at it?
It is, man. So
You
you
get
guys,
good at it, you can be successful. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Parker's the person that makes everybody stay up until like 3 a.m. when everyone wants to leave after Monopoly. No, guys, we got to finish. We got to finish. I'm about to win it.
Yes, man.
But no, man, that's a good point. Life is a game, and I'm the same way. I look at it like we control what we get to do every day. Like if you're not happy with what you're doing, you can change that, and you alone. And like we were chatting about it, and we've met up a few times and talked, and I've kind of gave you an idea of my big vision with things. But like to know that could happen, and like I feel so confident it could happen because 2 years ago when I was talking about this moment now, people didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, if you work hard and you have a plan or a vision, right, you can execute it. And I think that's what makes life so cool and what makes it worth like getting up every day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what's going to happen when you go to bed that night.
Yeah.
So many things. And
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So Parker, we're going to get into some generic questions here for you. Okay. These are questions that some of my followers and some of the kids I've trained have wrote in. Okay.
Let's get it.
All right. So what advice do you wish that you would have received as a youth player, or what advice would you give a current youth player?
Let's see. Something more specifically that I think I'll get technical wise. Goal, like scoring goals, dude. Coaches teach you, use your laces to shoot, score goals, use your laces, you can get power, whatever. No, man, you're going to score the simplest technique. You're going to score so many goals if you work on your inside of your foot finesse, back corners, back shots, keeping your shots low. I've skied so many goals, and I've never been a big goal scorer anyways. In high school, I scored a lot of goals, but club and college, I didn't score many goals.
Yeah.
And professionally, I didn't score many goals either. I've been an outside back and whatnot. But yeah, dude, I would say that's a huge technique to focus on, and to form that habit early on is to work on just like the simple goals, the inside of the foot, just being comfortable in front of net around the 18. Just working on placing your shot all the time rather than just trying rather than just to blast it. That's a huge thing that I wish I would have focused on more at a youth age, because I would have created that habit, a better habit, as I grew older.
I hope all of my high school boys are listening to this, because man, we finishing is something that's just very tough for us. And I've told them, if I can find someone from 10 yards in can put a ball in the back of the net with the inside of your foot, you'll be first team all state without batting an eye.
Yeah.
But like you said, you don't really get taught how to score. You don't get taught how to shoot, how to finish. You just, like you said, you put your laces through the ball to hit it hard. If you hit it with the inside of your foot to do a finesse, it's not realistic, because a goalie's going to save it. And it's a good point. Finishing is crucial, and not everyone can do it, but that's why strikers get paid so much, because if everyone could do it, everyone would do it.
Yeah. I'd say a really good person, and this is a shout out to a young newbie or a young rookie, is Wilson Harris, man. Wilson Harris is a guy on Swope Park that he is, I don't know who trained him he went to the academy, but at a young age, I was impressed to see a young kid like Wilson that was so, his habit of just inside of the foot all around the goal was just all the time. I was like, and he scores goals, and he's a young kid, and it's just, he's a really good one to watch. And it'll be good to watch him progress. I don't know. You were at the game the other night.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm 100% positive he started.
He had the brace.
Was he the one with the brace? Okay, they were two very nice goals. Then. So yeah, and that Swope team, man, they look scary. They look scary. It was, I mean, like we talked about, sporting from the top down, they knew what they were going to do, and they did it. And you
Yeah.
could see, I mean, every position, we talked about the triggers. When you see the ball do this, or when you see this person make a run, you saw everybody on the team overlap, run, move, slide, boom, boom. And it's like robotic.
Yeah.
And I know that, Darren talked about how much time they spend, and you were part of Swope, so you were doing it. How much time they spend on those little things where
Yep.
they were just scary. That team was scary. Those kids are gonna be good. I'm excited.
That's cool, man. That's really cool to see that resemblance. First team, second feeder team, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting. It's really exciting.
So we already talked about, like, what do we think helped you get to college more on the high school or club? And you said it was kind of a mix of both. But what do you think, or do you have any opinion on the DA system versus high school system versus college? Even though I'm a high school coach and I get crap for this, I do think the best players should be in a DA. And if they're able to perform at that top level and work their way up the ranks, I 100% think that they should do it. There's a lot of high school coaches that are like, oh no, they need to be playing high school because that's where they have fun. And then college, obviously that's getting smaller because there's just not as many men's soccer programs. And now the best players are going pro. So what's your thought on it for those young players, maybe that either are in a crossroad to go DA versus stay high school, or for the ones that maybe aren't making DA but still want to play pro? What's your thoughts?
Well, if you're not quite there for DA, then I would probably, to continue playing, you're definitely not going to go straight to, I mean, brutally honest, you're definitely not, if you're not quite there for DA, then you definitely need to go to college to continue to play, to continue to learn, to progress, to just get with better, to continue to always get with better players.
Right.
It's a hard thing, man. It's a hard thing right now because I still feel it's really early phases. There's not enough case studies quite yet, and it might be a couple years to really see, to see these guys, because like Wilson Harris, man, that he's not going to college. I don't think. I'm pretty sure he's not. So it'll be really interesting to track his story, to where he ends up, if he needs to get out of the USL, if he can get out of the USL, or if these guys are going to go to because you're probably not going to, there's going to be a few guys that go from DA straight to MLS. There will be, but not nearly as many. There's going to be most of them that go from DA probably now to USL.
USL, yeah.
Now these players though need to realize, are they going to get stuck in the USL?
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. Carry on with that, because that's huge.
Whereas, I mean, and as a pro footballer, you don't want to get stuck in the USL. You want to go to the first division of any league you can get to. So that's, and again, like it's hard to know right now, because the academy, especially this development from academy to pro, is still, I think it's been a couple years, and I think we'll start seeing it as American soccer progresses and develops. And I think one of the questions on there is, when's the U.S. going to win a World Cup?
That was my next question. Man. What do you think?
It's
sooner,
there's some good players. There's like Pulisic, Eric Palmer Brown, Busio, who else? Jalen Lindsay, like these guys that I'm familiar with. I don't know.
Right.
National team players. But if we're going towards this youth team and develop these youth players to be able to play, or to be the next World Cup team, they're still young as heck and they're still developing. So I don't know. Maybe. I might be crazy for saying not this next one, but the following
26.
Maybe, because then at that point, those guys are going to be. That'll give us enough time. When's the next World Cup?
So 2020 is 2022 is the next one in Qatar, and then 2026 is US.
So 26,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be the year. Like,
Hey,
we're hoping.
that's what Justin Mapp said, and he jokingly or not, I think, and you said it, we have these young players, and on the Pulisics, you have the Weston McKennies, you have the
Tyler
Josh
Adams,
Sargents, you have all the ones that are playing not
Sargent,
just
yeah,
here, but the ones that are over in Europe. And I'm like, if we're doing all this to get these young players developed, you got to play them. You got to
you
play
have
them,
to.
and you got to take the licks early to know that when you get to the qualifiers and when you get into the World Cup and the group stage matches, these guys have gone through it. They've gotten their ass kicked by the Frances and the
Yep,
Spains and the Englands. But you know
yep,
what? They've also come together and they've learned, okay, this is what we learned. This is what we learned.
yep,
We're a bunch of 22. You can't tell any 22-year-old boy anything that they don't want to believe in. So you
yep.
got a bunch of these young guys that are hungry, they're ambitious, they know they can play against these top people. I say throw them in there, Berhalter, and let them duke it out with the MLS guys. And I feel confident on who's going to win those battles.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, Chris Matthews, who's with Bayern Munich, right? You've got Conrad Jr., who's with Barca's second team and was
Yep.
in their first team match, in their first team squad. Like, I'm sorry, but if someone's playing for Barca's second team, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably better than anyone in the MLS.
That's
Just,
fair.
I'm shooting from the hip here. No shots fired, but that's just my opinion.
That's fair. And I mean, and that's the reputation Barca's earned. Like, it is. That's it. I mean, look at Ilya.
I was just about to say Ilya, man. He's a stud.
The guy's
I love it.
incredible.
He's
He played on the second team.
second team, yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's
freaking
the
phenomenal.
smoothest person with the ball.
Yeah,
And as a six, you don't have to do much. You don't make mistakes. You get the ball from one side, send it to the other side. You're always a person to be there when you need to get out of trouble.
yep.
And
You know your role.
and he wears the long sleeve shirt, long
Yeah.
sleeve
I
for
love it.
everything. 100 degrees, 30 degrees, same long sleeve. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't know if it's too far of a stretch to say that, 26. That's going to give those guys just going to develop. They've been together. They're formed. They're getting that camaraderie. They're playing with damn good players overseas. It's
You got 6 years.
yeah,
6 years.
yeah. I mean, that would be sweet. And they got the fans behind them. The home field advantage, right? I mean,
Listen,
that's something to play for, and that'll get you going.
and we're Americans, right? We think we're the best, and we should be the best at everything that we do because that's just what's ingrained in us. So I just feel like me as a coach, if I have 6 years, and granted it's a national team, so you're not seeing the guys day in and day out,
Which sucks,
right? But 6 years, man, you've got to be licking your chops as a manager, first team manager, technical director, saying like, hey, look at all these people we have, Sergino Dest with Ajax. Look at all these top people that we have throughout the world. Where can we get the right 22 people to take into battle with us? And how do we get those, maybe you say you start off with 35, 40 people that you dwindle down. How do we get those people in the camps from here on out to get training with each other, to do, how do we get those people together so they know what the other one's thinking? Because the chemistry is just as big as the skill set.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Parker, man. So the last question I've got for you, okay? Dream 5 aside. All right. So now we chatted about this a bit, and you can do you plus 4 people. Has to have a goalie. Now, what's been a popular decision by some of our past guests is they nominate themselves as a manager. You can do that as well. So it's up to you.
It's not a dream unless you're in it.
Right, that's what I'm thinking too. But hey, I'm not ruining someone else's dream. I'm
a player. I want to play.
You want to play, man. Hey, shooters got to shoot. So Parker, man, pick you plus 4 people of anyone that you've ever played with, and then it's going to be you plus 4 of anyone you wish you could play with alive.
Anyone I've played with, I'll be I'll stick to. I got some USL boys are gonna get some shout outs here.
All right, let's hear it.
Lebo Maloto.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yep.
He's filthy. Super good player. One of the smoothest players I've ever played with. Just in tight spots, can always get out and just super finesser.
He was here with you at Swope, right? That was Lebo was here when you were here.
He's now at Tulsa. He's kind of in the USL grind, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And he's getting a little bit older now. So I think it's going to be tough for him, but I think he loves the game. He's doing well. He's well known through the league.
Yep.
I think he's going to be able to find a contract. He's a very good player. So Maloto, he could be like my midfield forward, whatever you want to call it. Let's do a diamond. Let's do goalie, me in the back, 2 in front, and then a number 9.
All right.
So let's put Maloto in the middle. I'll play in the back. Who else? I want to say there might be an argument between Haji Berry and Carlton Belmar. Those guys are just
man, two friends of mine, two
guys that score goals, dude. They're goal scorers. They're
fast as all get them, man.
Fast. They're somewhat direct. They're somewhat direct. But they score goals, dude. They score goals. So I got
Belmar's at Sacramento now. And Haji is he just got a lot of attention in USL for something with his jersey. I forgot where Haji's playing, but I know they're both still playing. Which one do we go with?
Let's go Belmar.
Belmar, okay. Belmar forward. There we go.
I'm trying to think. Who else? Let's see.
So we've got a midfielder, a defender, a forward.
I'll play left mid.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay.
I'll get a center back here. I'm gonna say AJ Cochran, which he had some national team recognition when he was younger. I think he's playing for Phoenix. He's just a freaking sturdy center back. Really just vocal. Really good leader in the locker room.
All right.
And then there's Brandon Barkley too. Brandon Barkley is great.
And we need a keeper, let's
I'm going to say
keeper
who I've played with is Alec Khan. Alec Khan. He played for Atlanta United for a couple years. He got loaned to us from Chicago Fire down to St. Louis.
Okay.
Super, very, very good goalie with his feet.
All right. And let's get now the dream ready. Anyone that's still alive. Who do we got?
Anyone. I'm gonna start with Messi. Love the dude. I don't know him, but I just think
right. Guy's great. I love everything about it. His wife's amazing. Coffee's great.
He's a magician, so
yeah.
I gotta go with him. Argentinians. Di Maria, baby.
Ooh, okay. Playing in the Champions League final today.
PSG, yeah.
Quick side note. Where's our money? Bayern, PSG.
Bayern, man.
Yeah.
Off of the performance they had against Barca, dude.
They're scary.
Yeah.
They're scary.
Bayern. And I honestly don't know. I haven't seen a lot of PSG. I haven't seen them a lot. But I'm going to say Bayern.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're back to it. Messi, Di Maria. We have you playing defense?
Hell yeah.
All right.
On defense, I got to shout out America, baby. Pulisic.
Oh.
The kid's electric. The kid is electric, and I think he's got a great. I'm excited to keep following him, man. I think he's a guy that I can see in just training. He wants to win everything, and he's gonna win.
And who do we have in net? Who's keeping the ball out the back? Just in case you mess up. I don't anticipate it, but just in case we have a slip up.
Let's see. I like to Miko shout out to Marcelo. We're fullbacks. I saw a ball that Marcelo just struck. He was like back locked in his back corner, his left side, and the guy he gave him a throw in. And
he just outside.
Yep. One time volleyed it to the far right back. It was making a run forward.
Yep.
It literally was like it was at head height the whole time. I was like,
stride. In stride.
I was like, that's magic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, I'll say Marcelo. I like it.
Okay, so Marcelo at defense.
Yeah.
Are you not gonna be playing?
Oh, I thought you asked if I messed up, who's going to be my spot. What did you ask?
So if you mess up, who's gonna be in net? Your goalie.
Oh. Got it. I got it. Okay, so scratch Marcelo, fire
Well,
him.
scratch Marcel, but that pass was still filthy. It does not. It always deserves its attention.
Yeah. Oh, geez, goalie. God, I don't know my goalies. I'm really bad at goalies. Who? Man, I don't even know enough goalie names. I'm gonna be honest.
We've got, I mean, some bit. You could
Joe
go
Hart.
Zach Steffen, Joe Hart. Wow, that's a blast from the past. We could do.
Steffen's at where's he at?
He's on loan from
To
City. I don't know where.
yeah, that's right.
They loaned him
I'll,
to.
yeah, let's do it.
He's going to be the 2026 keeper. I'm thinking he's going to be the guy that
Yeah.
that.
Make me look good.
Yeah. Yeah, Zach Steffen. I like that. I like that.
Let's do it. I like it. Appreciate the help.
Yeah, no problem. So Parker, that's all the questions I got for you, man. Is there anything that you want to leave us off with? Any final words? Any final advice? Maybe a plug
Advice.
for oils?
I think I got some good advice maybe that I learned maybe a hard way is if you're going professional, whether you're going from academy or you're getting to academy and you've signed maybe, I'm not really sure how this works with maybe agents and academy players. I'm not sure. But if you're professional and agents, I would say get an agent, man. I would say get an agent from day one. They're in their position because they're experts at networking. They should know all leagues, all opportunities, be really well connected, and to get you to continue to find a fit that's going to work for you. Because sporting Swope ended up not fitting for me my last year, and I was in a tough spot, and I had some other family stuff going on and whatnot, and it worked. And again, everything happens for a reason. But I think if I would have had an agent for me, they could have even from my day one, from my first season, they could have even negotiated a better contract for me. You know, I was a newbie to it, and I was like, yeah, I got connections. I don't really need an agent, but they're there for you. And I think if you get a good one that's going to treat you well and find you opportunities, then I think then it's worth the money.
Yeah. Well, and that's what Joe Amico said when he finished up with Swope. He was injured, and he found an agent, and that agent got him a deal out in OC.
Yeah.
And then the same deal or same agent gets him at OKC when he was injured.
Yeah.
And he said that his agent helped him out big time. So
it's huge.
This is now the second time we've heard it.
It's important, and sometimes it can be hard though, dude. I would say this: you got to interview, talk to a couple, make sure you really hit it off, and you know that you got a good one. Get referrals from other people around you, professionals, ideally, that have had good and bad experiences. But yeah, I mean, just like I'm a real estate agent, people don't realize that we have a job because we're experts. There's things you don't know, things you don't even know that you don't know. That are things to negotiate and talk about in a contract. That it just so yeah, that would be a big one for me, for especially as a newbie or a rookie going in. I'd say, and my wife even hint a couple of years in. She's like, you might want to get an agent. I was like, nah, I got connections. Maybe it was my ego. I don't know, but
hey.
Yeah, it is what it is. So that's a good hint for me, I'd say.
All right.
And to summarize, attitude, dude. Attitude will cope with your mentality. It's going to happen. You're going to be in a tough spot. Game of opinions. The coach may not like you. You may not fit. There's going to be a team, if you're a good player, that you can fit into. And if you have a good attitude, you'll be able to find something.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are some great final words from Parker there. Parker, thank you for being a guest here on season 1. I look forward to us having a good friendship here in the next few years. I won't butcher your last name again. Yeah, man, Parker, thank you. This is the end of episode 7 of the No Stress Midwest podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you next week.